And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for this week are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. The old adage goes, you can't judge a book by its cover. But with repair shops, I beg to differ. There are ways to identify a professional service center and a little shop of horrors. When I come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly.
If you've been delaying that oil change, replacing those brake pads, or ignoring that check engine light, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and use your tax refund to take care of problems you've been putting off. Spend a little of your tax refund on your vehicle now and avoid costly repairs down the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
On Valentine's Day, love might be blind, but at service shops, keep your eyes wide open. First, do some recon. Contact the Better Business Bureau and ask friends for report cards on shops they use. Then, call prospective shops. Are people responsive? If they don't have time for you now, imagine when there's a problem. Also, pay shops a visit. Look for a well-maintained organization and look out for a dirty, cluttered environment. Yes, to avoid heartbreak at repair time, initially judge service centers like other professionals by reputation, responsiveness, and self-respect. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Valentine's Day's gentler side is all about hearts and flowers. But one year in Chicago, this sweet occasion turned sour. When I come back, a story of bootleg, machine guns, and a garage.
O'Reilly.
If you've been delaying that oil change, replacing those brake pads, or ignoring that check engine light, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and use your tax refund to take care of problems you've been putting off. Spend a little of your tax refund on your vehicle now and avoid costly repairs down the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The garage is one happening place these days, but what took place in Chicago at the SMC Cartage Company went down in history as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. On February 14, 1929, John May, Bugsy Moran's mechanic, arrived at the garage early to repair an oil leak on Bug's flatbed. He was joined by 6 other members of the Northside Gang, expecting a shipment of bootleg Canadian whiskey. But then the rival Capone gang, posing as policemen to gain access to the garage, opened fire. Spared was May's loyal dog, whose howling summoned neighbors. Well, ain't love grand? I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Baby, it's cold outside, but cozy inside your car, right? No? Icicles are hanging from your cheeks? Well, when we come back, it's an open and shut case of the faulty thermostat.
O'Reilly.
If you've been delaying that oil change, replacing those brake pads, or ignoring that check engine light, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and use your tax refund to take care of problems you've been putting off. Spend a little of your tax refund on your vehicle now and avoid costly repairs down the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If you're still wearing mittens after a couple of miles of driving, your thermostat may be stuck open. The result is a too-cool engine which doesn't produce enough hot water to warm the heater coils that make passenger cabins toasty. And if Frosty the Snowman's more comfortable inside your car than you, it's more than an inconvenience, it's a warning sign. engines that run too cool waste gas and are prone to mechanical troubles. So keep your engine and your passengers operating at optimum temperature. Have your thermostat checked today. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Winter vacations, skiing, sledding, hot chocolate in the lodge. But no such luck for transmission repair technicians. When I come back, I'll tell you why winter snowstorms keep transmission shops busy.
O'Reilly.
If you've been delaying that oil change, replacing those brake pads, or ignoring that check engine light, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and use your tax refund to take care of problems you've been putting off. Spend a little of your tax refund on your vehicle now and avoid costly repairs down the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Transmission shops are busiest after a heavy snowstorm because, think about it. What do we do when we're stuck in snow? If you said rock our cars back and forth from low gear to reverse, you're right. Unfortunately, for our cars and our wallets, we rock way too hard, resulting in overheated automatic transmissions and damaged universal joints. So the next time you're stuck in snow, easy does it. And remember, if you're really stuck, a tow truck may be cheaper than a new transmission. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Ever wish you had a crash course in brakes before you have a crash? Are the terms master cylinder, calipers, and brake pads all Greek to you? Don't worry, when I come back, it's Brakes 101.
O'Reilly.
If you've been delaying that oil change, replacing those brake pads, or ignoring that check engine light, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and use your tax refund to take care of problems you've been putting off. Spend a little of your tax refund on your vehicle now and avoid costly repairs down the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome to Brakes 101. Knowing how brakes work helps ensure they do work. Master cylinders are the heart of the system. Hearts pump blood. Master cylinders pump brake fluid to all four wheels. Calipers and wheel cylinders, like strong hand muscles, convert brake fluid into stopping power. Brake pads and shoes, like skin, protect caliper muscles from friction caused by stopping. As in biological systems, the blood, muscles, and skin of braking systems are critical to long life, the brakes, and yours. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning, folks. Welcome to this Saturday morning's Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm delighted to be your guest, your host. You're my guest. And it's not that I'm confused. It's just that I have been a road warrior this week and been on the road. And I can tell you, I thought I knew a little bit about automobiles, and you know what? I do, and I'm so proud that I do, because when you're on the highway, you depend on your automobile, and especially when you drive through rains, torrential rains, and you're going 45 miles per hour with all four flashers going, and the semis are going 35 miles an hour. You know you better watch what you do, and you better hope you have great windshield wipers, and you better hope you have excellent tires. So all of the above is what this week was all about for me, from a trek from Pensacola, Florida to Jackson, Mississippi, to Birmingham, Alabama, to Atlanta, Georgia, and back to Brewton, Alabama, and Atmore, Alabama, and then to Pensacola, Florida in the course of 3 days. And I will tell you, my car performed outstandingly. It was just unbelievable. I'll tell you a little more about that and take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When your battery loses its power, you lose the power and the ability to get around and get things done. I'll tell you why when I come back. Jan will take your calls if you wish to call at 888 Car Clinic.
O'Reilly.
It's O-Rewards Bonus Points Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Stop in today and check out store-wide savings, plus earn double O-Rewards points on over 200 items. If you're not an O-Rewards member yet, sign up in-store today. It's fast, easy, and free. But hurry, double points are only available for a limited time. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Are you looking for a tire that offers the perfect synergy of comfort, durability, and performance for your light truck or SUV? The Grabber HTS 60 features StabiliTread with a fatter footprint, optimized tread pattern stiffness, and improved tread compound for up to 25% more tread life than the original Grabber HTS. And General Tire's Duragen technology makes tires stronger and more resistant to cuts and chips. The Grabber HTS 60 also offers a 45-day trial. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. Here's an email from a Car Clinic listener. David writes, "What's the amber light on my dash? It looks like a cork pointing at an angle to a picture on the side of the car. This light has been on and off for about a year now, and I think it's time I check it out." Well, David, no time like the present. The light indicates a detected failure that could allow gasoline fumes to evaporate into the air, costing you money in lost fuel and polluting the air. Most common failure that trips the light? A small evap leak, or in other words, loose fuel cap. Besides being tight, the cap must also be in good condition. Fuel caps don't last forever, and poor quality caps don't work well from the beginning. Stant makes a large line of fuel caps that will last a very long time and ensure proper sealing of the system. Stant fuel caps are the only aftermarket caps to include all the safety features of the original equipment cap. Visit Stant.com or ask your local parts store for a Stant gas cap by name.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, welcome to today's edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Let's get started. One of the neatest things that my team has posted recently on Facebook and Pinterest, and you should check it out. I don't know if you watch any auctions, on car auctions. I watch, a few of them. I don't really spend a lot of time, but I'm curious as to how those cars can bring so much money. But I also know better, because I know that if like a retro mod goes through Barrett Jackson and brings $60,000 to $80,000, and this car has an LS2 or 3 V8 Chevrolet engine, and then the 4-speed automatic transmission and independent rear suspension and tires and wheels and the upgraded air conditioning and tilt wheel and all new interior. And I mean, you look at the car and it's a brand new, like 55 or 57 Chevrolet or what have you, and sells for $60,000 to $80,000. Probably cost $100,000 or $120,000 to build the car. So I really, seriously, folks, and if you've been there, and if you have any idea how whoever they are, and they can be companies that build these cars, or they can be independents that build them. How can they possibly build those cars and sell them for less money than they actually cost to build? And you say, well, they buy the parts wholesale. That's not the case at all. You can buy the parts for the same price they do. Now, granted, some of those automobiles, especially the ones that, say, Barrett Jackson sells for charity, all of the parts that are used on the car are donated, and you see on television, with overhauling and restoration and those particular shows, you can definitely see that there's a lot of marketing and advertising, and so if Chevrolet gives the engine, Chevrolet gets a mention and what have you. But the bottom line, the amount of labor that it takes, is like 1,000 hours. So you can do the math. What's 1,000 hours cost? And then you have the transportation costs. So it's amazing to me. And the moral of the story is, I think it's an entertainment. And also, I know that it is, it being classic car shows and those sorts of things are there to help to proliferate the sport and to grow the sport. And the sport is maintaining, sustaining the value of classic cars, because quite candidly, the individuals that buy those cars are usually older people who wanted a particular automobile, say in the 50s or 60s or 70s, and couldn't afford it, and they've made money in their life, so now they're buying those cars. Those guys are dying. I mean, there's attrition there. And also ultimately, who is going to replace those individuals? And there's a good friend of mine, Al Sorensen, and he and I have had this conversation many times. So I just thought it would be interesting today to bring that up, and I'll share this with you. Steven Tyler, and he's a strange looking guy. You smile. Fabio, do you know who Steven Tyler is? Fabio, now, yeah, sure he does. You do know, right? Yeah, thumbs up. What's your mic broken or something this morning? Come on the line with me.
Oh no, I know who you're talking about.
Well, I don't know, do you watch car shows?
Not really.
See, that's my point. So who's going to replace? Yeah, Miss Jan. By the way, call Miss Jan or call me. 888 Car Clinic, 227-2546. Here's the bottom line. On our Facebook page, our team this week posted Steven Tyler's Hennessy Venom GT Spider, and you can see what comes with an $800,000. I was talking about $100,000 cars. Here's an $800,000 car. Now, that money went to charity, and Barrett Jackson has done a lot, and it went to Janie's Fund. I'm not so sure that I am familiar with Janie's Fund, and so Jonathan, you get a chance, check out what Janie's Fund, what charity that is. But isn't it fabulous that you have people, people, I hate to say people because it's like being somewhere and they say, well, you people, I want to talk to you. You and I are individuals. We're humans. So I think it's really interesting to watch the interaction and watch how much people in this country step up to help other people. And I'm sure that once you get to the point, like, Steven Tyler has, that it's not a question of how much money you have, it's what you can do with the money, because you have, like Bill Gates and his wife, I think Melinda, is her name, their Gates Foundation. It's amazing at what these individuals do for others, because you can only spend X amount of money in this world. So it's very interesting to me. But if you go to Facebook.com and look at our page, it's Facebook.com/Bobby Likis. That's Likis. And you can really see the picture and more information. But better than that, you can go to our Pinterest board. And when you get time, and this is for fun, and go to Pinterest.com/Bobby Likis. And you will see on our In the Shop board, you'll see some very interesting triage, OR. You'll see cars in our shop that are apart, where we're repairing parts and pieces. So if you ever want to know how to replace a timing belt on a car or what's involved, there's a picture of one, I don't know, Audi, and there's Lexus and Toyota and other, Lexus, Toyota, I guess that's the same thing. Well, more or less. Oh, by the way, VW is number one automobile manufacturer in the world. They said that's what they were going to do by 2018. In 2009, the president and CEO stated that by 2018, Volkswagen will be the largest car maker in the world. You know that Volkswagen owns Bugatti, makes the Veyron. I don't know if you know that or not, and they're Audi, and so it's a huge company, but they didn't make it by 2018 because we're not there yet. They made it by 2016 because we are there. But anyway, when you get a chance, I thought it would be interesting for you to go to Pinterest and see this strange-looking Steven Tyler right there with his car that he donated, and the money goes to charity. I think that's phenomenal. Take a call from Jim in Washington. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning.
Good morning, Bobby. I've got a 99 Subaru.
Yes, sir.
2.5.
Okay.
This car was born with piston slap. But actually, this is my third Subaru, and they've all been great cars, and they've all had this same thing, but
right.
Never to the degree that this has now. It's gotten worse.
Right.
I have to drive it 30, 40 miles, and then it quiets down. But does anybody knurl pistons anymore?
No.
No.
I say no. Let's see. I've been in business in the automotive service. Our shop, by the way, is a 15,000 square foot automotive service shop. It's award winning, thanks to my great team. It is an everyday in the trenches. Do what you have to do to make the vehicle work as well and run as well for your customers, and that's what my team does. And one of the things that we do not do is overhaul engines. We buy engines remanufactured so that we get all new pistons and all new fits and what have you. Now, having said that, a neuralization, and folks, a neuralization is like, think of, and Jim, of course, you know what this is, but folks, just so you can imagine, let's say that you wanted a piston that measured 4 inches in diameter, and you wanted it to measure 4 inches plus 1/1000ths. Because cylinder clearance, the hole might be 4 inches. The piston is about a 1/1000th short of 4 inches. Because if it were 4 inches, it wouldn't go in a 4-inch hole. There's got to be room to get the piston in. Well, if the piston happened to be 3/1000ths short, and a hair on your head is about 2/1000ths of an inch, and a newspaper is 2/1000ths of an inch. So, Jim, your pistons are probably 2.5/1000ths. Some of them too small. So, having said that, a normalization is where you, and you'll think about it, if you were to push your hand, if you had a flat sand and you took a broom finished sand and then you pushed your finger down in it, you'd have a little hole, but you'd also have a mound that elevated and was higher than the rest of the sand. So what they do, they being machine shops, they take a tool that has serrated and grooves, and they press it over the piston, which pushes down and makes dents in the piston or lines in the piston, but also that elevates the piston. And then they put it in, and that's a temporary fix, Jim, and it's good for, it was good back then, it's not good for today because it's not a permanent fix, and it is not recommended. Gotta go for a break, Jim. Stick around. I'm not ready to stop the conversation. Folks, don't touch the dial. I'll be back. This Tire Maintenance Minute is brought to you by General Tire and the Ultimax Arctic, with 270 degrees of multi-angle sipes and thousands of biting edges to maximize traction in any direction of travel. It's cold outside, and you're not the only one feeling the chill. So are your tires, because every 10-degree drop in temperature causes 1 pound decrease in tire pressure. The difference between 80-degree summer days and 30-degree winter evenings is 50 degrees and 5 pounds of underinflation. Underinflated tires wear rapidly, decrease fuel economy, and affect safety. So if you're in mittens and haven't checked your tire pressure since you were working on your tan, now's the time to treat your tires to some fresh air. And while you're at it, check air in your spare too. A few extra minutes now can save you hours later. Drive to GeneralTire.com to learn more about the Ultimax Arctic, featuring all-weather dual-tread compound. The Ultimax Arctic's contour actually reacts to different road conditions to maintain enhanced contact with the road. Visit GeneralTire.com.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts, and your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside and know there's true strength on the inside.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're talking with Jim in Washington. And Jim, you're still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here, Bobby.
Okay. So a knurling is a pressurized. Oh gosh, you've seen some tools or screwdrivers that have they're smooth, except that they have ridges and grooves and they're rough, like that, like a tread on a tennis shoe, or except much smaller. And so that's what knurling does. It by pressing in on a piece of metal, just like if you were to take a sharp punch, and prick a piece of aluminum, you could feel it because it would elevate, the metal around it. It would just simply push the metal that you push down out and up. And if you multiply that 1,000 times, that's what you've got, 1,000 little lines and 1,000 little elevations. And so piston slap. Now, as has been happens occasionally, we have Jim, another gentleman from Washington, that may even live in the same town as you, and Mike, who has a comment. So what we're going to do is I'm going to conference both you, Jim, and Mike. So Fabio, let's put Mike on the air as well. Mike from Washington, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. So Mike, you're on the air, and Jim, you're on the air. And Bobby, I'm on the air. So, Mike, you had a comment on the piston slap?
You bet. So back about 25, 26 years ago, a buddy of mine and I built an engine for my Mustang.
Okay.
And we specifically set it up to go play at the racetrack and play on the weekends. It's not a daily driver.
Right.
So we specifically set the pistons up with a little more piston-to-wall clearance than normal.
Yes.
And it's been a great engine, but it's always had really, really loud piston slap.
Right.
And one of the things that an old-time hot rodder in Moses Lake had recommended to me was an additive called MOS2, and it's from Lubramoly or Liquimoly.
Right. Okay.
And I tell you what, I only use about a quarter of a can. It's a small can. I use about a quarter of a can when I change the oil, and it helped tremendously.
Wow.
And it's a low-cost solution. I haven't seen any negative effects at all. And it's, like I say, it's really helped with the noise, and it's probably all in my head, but the engine feels a little smoother.
Well, that part is in the head, but that's okay. It's like driving a nice, clean car. It's just something that feels good about it. It runs better. Yeah. So I would agree with you. So, Jim, what do you think about that? You want to try that product? And Jim, where do you live?
In Moses Lake.
Well, hey, guys. Well, I won't ask you what your addresses are, but wouldn't it be odd if you lived next door to each other?
Well, Michael, where do you get this product?
I have CarQuest special order it for me. They get it out of a warehouse out of Seattle.
Okay, I'll stop at CarQuest next time. And I want to tell you that I started life as a mechanic working in a Nash dealership. That ought to tell you something.
A Nash dealership?
Yes, sir, back in 1950s.
I'll be darned. Nash.
And I've knurled my share of pistons, believe me.
Now, let me tell you, Nash was a beautiful car, and the Metropolitan was the cutest little small car that at that time, I think that's the only small car that people didn't look at and say, oh, my God, you'll get killed in that car, because at that time, in that era, as I remember, people really didn't think about small cars and the safety factor. And, of course, that was before seat belts. You know that Ford 57 was the first to offer options for seat belts? And people says, I don't want those things.
No. Nash offered seat belts in the early 50s.
And they did before Ford?
Yes, they did.
Well, I'll be darned. Well, then maybe
yes,
Ford
sir, that was an option in 50.
5?
I believe 51. I might be wrong, but right back in the early 50s.
Well, that's good. Well, thanks for telling me that. I know that Ford had played a large part in that in the 50. I thought it was 57. But how interesting. So, well, anyway, Jim, so the Mike, again, the name of the product is?
It's MOS2. It's a liquid moly supplement.
Liquid moly.
Well, and if you have any more questions and need to reach me, I actually work at Performance Auto Sound down in Kennewick. you can give me a call down there.
Okay.
You know where that is, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen. Well, go buy each other a cup of coffee and talk your car things, and then Jim, why don't you do this just for grins and because I'd like to know after you try Mike's Magic Molly, if it helps, call me back. Let me know, because I think that's very interesting, because there are a lot of people that have older cars, and if it's good for piston slap, it must be good, Mike. It must be good for some other parts that rub together in an engine as well.
We can't do like we used to do many years ago. You put 50-weight oil in there.
No, you can't. Hey, gentlemen. Hey, nice to have you on Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you much.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Jim. That's pretty cool. All right. Speaking of Jim, I see that George has called in. In fact, let's go to George, and then we'll go to Jim in Detroit. But George, actually, we'll come back from from Washington to Florida. George, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, sir.
Bobby, I got a 1978 Buick Regal 8-cylinder.
Okay.
I think a 302.
Well, it doesn't sound right, but I'll take your word. I'll take your word for it. Anyway, so it's a V8, 1978 model. Okay, and what is your question, sir?
Okay, I did some work on the engine. I replaced the water pump just because it's getting old. It's got almost 1,000 miles on it now.
Right. 100,000, you mean?
No, I mean 100,000. Yeah.
Yeah. You said 1,000.
No, it's got more than that.
Yeah,
I think it's like
it's a 78 mile.
whatever.
If it's a 78 mile with 1,000 miles, don't drive it. Take it to Barrett Jackson.
I don't drive it much.
Okay. What kind of?
I've had it now. About 20 some odd years.
Well, what's the challenge? How can I help you?
Okay, I can't get any heat through my heater. Now, I replaced the hose to go into it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we started doing things. We figured, look, as long as we got this all up, we replaced a water pump on it.
Right.
It's working fine.
Right. Thermostat, you put a thermostat? You put a thermostat in it? Did you put a thermostat in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. And?
Okay, you turn it on. I know I'm in Florida and I complain about it being cold, but, 50 degrees here is like 10 someplace else.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
But,
Spoiled, it's called.
Nothing at all comes out, and I was wondering if I could maybe flush it or something, or if, to me, it looks like it's like a loop where the water's got to go through it.
Yes, sir.
It's pushed out on one side and sucked in on the other.
Well, it doesn't suck.
No
it just pushes. It does. There's pressure on one part of the core. Here's my question. With the engine running, you should be able to feel the input hose that comes from the top of the engine, which is the hottest part of the engine, to the heater core, and then you should be able to feel the return hose going back to the radiator.
A little bit cooler.
It should be just as hot. It should be so hot. Both should be hotter than what you can touch, because the engine's running 190 degrees. So, your human threshold is what, 100, 110, 20, 30. But the bottom line is how much difference between the in and the out by feel.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. What I was going to do, I was just going to disconnect it.
All right, don't disconnect
feel
it.
the water.
Don't disconnect it. Just feel it. Run the engine 30 minutes. Hold it at 2,000 RPM with the heater maximum. The blower on low, so that you're not taking the heat out of the blower. Just leave the blower motor on low, but the heater controlled maximum, so you got flow of water, of coolant, and then feel the in and feel the out. And if the in is too hot to touch and the out is not, it's stopped up, and you cannot unstop it. You have to replace the core. But it shouldn't be that big a job in the 78 Regal as compared to an 88 or a 98 or a 2008.
Oh no, this car's so easy to work on.
Yeah. I think you got to replace the heater core if the heater valve's working, and that's pretty simple. So check those things, and but
I
flushing.
I just happen to have an 83 Buick heater core. Would that work in the 78?
Yeah. Well, no, it will not. No. No, but you can find a 78. Yeah. Go to Barrett Jackson. They sell everything. Hey, thanks for calling, George. I do believe it's the heater core stopped up.
Okay, fine. Thank
Fine.
you.
You're
Bye now.
welcome. Let's go to Detroit and talk with Jim. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you. Thanks for holding.
Oh, it's my pleasure always, Bobby, to stay on the wheel and give you all the deal on the reports on all the cars each and every Saturday.
Well, what did you bring us this morning, sir?
Okay, let's start off to let people know there's another auto show. Ours is done in Michigan. Chicago's starting one up. And the show was for the press until today, and now it is open to the public.
Oh, cool.
The auto show is the nation's largest auto show, the one in Chicago at the McCormick Place.
Right.
Which the McCormick Place is devoting 70,000 square feet to the auto show.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just like a closet in the McCormick Place because it's known to have 1 million square feet.
Wow. So
okay.
What is of interest there? Other than
Okay, what is of interest there is that they have indoor tracks and outdoor tracks for you to go into a car and get a demonstration ride. And that, to me, we have indoor at Kobo, but we don't have outdoor, so they've one-upped us.
Well, I will tell you, why don't we do this, Jim? So Fabio, not that I would put you on a spot, but I am going to put you on a spot. There's a friend of ours and that works with General Motors, and Humberto Ortiz is the actually lead director for Chevrolet. So what I'd like to do is get him on the line because, Jim, for your information, he's there. And so what we'll do is we'll get him on the line, and we've got a break coming up. So if you'd like to stick around, just for let's see if we can get him on the line. And I don't know if we can conference him in because of the phones that they use at those events. But I know that he's there, and he is, as I said, the lead designer for GM. And it would be really neat to hear from someone directly at the show. So, Jim, if you've got time this morning, I would like for you to stick around. We'll see if we can get Jim on the line, Humberto, on the line and talk with him. And then when we come back from there, well, we got a break coming up. So we come back from the break. Maybe we'll have Humberto on the line. If not, we'll come right back to Jim. If not, we get Humberto, we'll get with him. And Jim, you stay with us. And folks, this is going to be really cool. Jim from Detroit and Humberto from Chicago. Don't touch that dial. Folks, we're testing an Intune i2 performance programmer from Diablo Sport, and we'll share feedback and results over the next few months. First is ease of installation. Directions were clear and the setup was easy. The Intune i2 is preloaded with dyno and street-tested performance programs developed specifically for your car or truck, ensuring optimal power and drivability gains. From there, you can then customize a tune tailored to your own performance needs. What a great way to boost power without even popping the hood. Diablo Sport Intune i2 has a fantastic look and now features the latest generation ARM processor for a higher resolution screen and an exceptionally responsive touchpad. You can update your i2 software on virtually any computer. Windows, Mac, Linux, and update times are fast. Even the large updates take no more than 5 minutes. I'll report more to you about the Intune i2 in the coming weeks. In the meantime, check out the i2 for yourself at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Call with your car questions at 888 Car Clinic. But first, the news of the day, of the week, comes from the 2017 Chicago Auto Show, where Chi-Town is playing host to the latest and greatest vehicles and technology. This week, folks, Chevrolet announced the introduction of the Red Line Special Edition series at the Chicago Auto Show, available on 9 Chevrolet cars, trucks, and crossovers. Red Line is the broadest cross-portfolio special edition ever offered by the brand. And with us on the line is lead designer Humberto Ortiz. Who better to share what that package is all about? Humberto, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
Bobby, happy to be here in your show.
As far back as 2015 at the SEMA show is when I think GM teased everyone with this special Redline package. Share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers the inspiration behind this package and how it was transformed from concept to real production vehicles, which we all love to see.
Sure, absolutely. So what I did was on a sketch on the Chevy Traverse, the new Traverse. And I have a black wheel with a red accent on the wheel, but it's not the classic accent that you see. Some vehicles offers like a red ring or the center cap. In this case, I tried to do something different to look very modern. So when we present this sketch, the design management really like it. So then I applied it to the Camaro, and then my director came and said, "Hey, Humberto, please apply this idea to the whole line." Long story short, as you said, months later, we create some builds. We present this idea at SEMA. SEMA is the Special Equipment Market Association show that happens in Las Vegas every year. And we have an amazing feedback, very positive feedback. And based on that, Chevy management decided to bring this idea to production. And is what we are going to present this week in Chicago.
Humberto, what's really exciting to me about this, and I've been to SEMA for 25 years in a row, what you see at SEMA, folks, is anything and everything to do with automobiles, modifications of automobiles, right. And you also see a lot of car makers there, and GM brings just a host of automobiles, and obviously you bring ideas, and this Redline Special Edition, well, what makes it so special, Humberto, because it not only was a hit there, but it appears it's going to be a hit to the public.
Right. And as you mentioned before this conversation, as you well said, it crosses all the line from small cars to trucks, which is something that you don't see in the industry. Also, let me talk a little bit of the DNA of Chevy. Chevy across the time has been a very expressive brand, allowing customization for customers, not just with the colors, but with accessories, right? A good example is the 67 Camaro, the first Camaro in production, offers accessories and combinations available for customers on the first day of production. So based on this DNA, we say, well, we need to have something very expressive but very modern for our time. And that's what the idea behind. Very brief, I can give you a little bit of the content that the car has, and its design inspiration or design direction is to have like a neutral palette on the colors of the car. We will offer just white, silver, and black cars. Then the second accent is with the black accents. We are offering all the cars with black wheels, black grills, the black bow tie. The emblems of the name of the cars on the doors and the trunks are black, so it makes a very sporty look. And then finally, the red accent. We have the hash marks on the wheels in red in the whole line. And then on the emblems of the cars, we have a red outline on the letters. For trucks, we are offering red tow hooks. And for our amazing Camaro, we have fender hash mark in black with red outline and the accessory grille with red inserts.
Well, you reminded me when you said white and different black and those specific colors, sort of a neutral palette. You said, I was just happened to be on the road from Atlanta yesterday and saw a white Camaro, most of the taillights of the white Camaro, as it were. But what a beautiful car that was, and it appeared to be sort of plain, but then it had that personalization, that touch. And so I can only imagine what a standard white vehicle with this decoration, how do you come up with the ideas and how long does it take? I know this is from 2015 from the concept, but walk us through your mind concept and your mind thoughts and how many iterations before you get to the real one that's going to be on the real cars.
It's a great question. At the beginning, the red accent, I wasn't sure to put. I mean, I do some a red spoke at the beginning on the sketch, and everybody loves it. But then we were saying, well, since all the wheels are different, especially we want to cross the whole line, we need to do a signature. We need to do something that is unique for all the wheels, right? So the hash mark, if you see our Grand Sport Corvette that we have on the floor here, is just an impressive car. But a long time ago, the Grand Sports used to have the hash mark on the fenders, as well as the Camaro. So a little bit of the DNA, the performance DNA, we want to put it in every single Chevy, right? So it's kind of the inspiration. Everything starts with the sketch. Then after the sketch, we do a lot of variations, and then we create in this case, we create the builds to go to SEMA.
Folks, we're talking with Humberto Ortiz. Is General Motors Chevrolet lead designer. Were you at SEMA? How does GM feel and get the feedback both from the trade associations and from those of us in the who are car guys, and then how do you get the public's feedback and make the decision to go forward with that particular accessory or offering?
As you well said, SEMA is a great show to see customization, personalization, and performance trends. So it's a really good arena, and Chevy's a big player. Every year, Chevy presents a lot of concepts with our Chevy team, marketing, design, engineering. We are looking for new trends. We want to receive feedback, right? As far as I know, I remember when I was walking at SEMA, it was packed with people just looking at the red accents. They really like it. And then our folks from marketing, they receive a lot of positive feedback on these cars.
Do you see the line expanding?
It's a great question. At this point, it's very fresh, very new. Our goal is to have new trends every year or every couple of years. So we have more ideas in mind, but more to come soon.
We will see. So final question, when is the Red Line package available for purchase and delivery? And can you go online and build your car, including the Red Line accessory package?
Well, the Red Line is you buy the car with all the content that I described. So when you buy, it's like a factory content, right? The car comes from the factory with all the equipment, with all the accessories, right, for a Red Line. And I know that Silverado is coming pretty soon. I know that all the cars are going to be available on 17. I don't have the specifics with me, but Chevy.com should have more information.
Perfect. Chevy.com, folks.
Chevrolet.com, sorry.
Chevrolet.com. Chevrolet.com. Thank you, sir. Really great to have you, Humberto, and you do a great job in the Chevy line. The General Motors as a whole has just done such a fantastic job in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years and growing. Thank you so much for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic today.
Bobby, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And there you go. Well, Fabio, thank you so much for getting, and Miss Jan for getting Humberto. And I think Jim, Jim, I think that is really cool that you started the conversation. And so we'll go back to Jim. And Jim, thanks for holding there. It was kind of neat, So what else is going on from Chicago?
Okay, what else is going on from Chicago? That show has just begun today. It will go to the 20th. So there's a lot of days and a lot of test tracks. You can get right in a new car and go for a ride. And you can either go for an indoor track or an outdoor track. There's over 1,000 cars to see. It's the same price you paid for the Cobo Hall show, 11 for adults, 7 for children, and 7 for seniors. So I don't want to go to who qualifies for a senior, but that's a good deal.
Why not? You're a senior.
So are you.
Yes, I am. Although I don't know that I use that very often to my benefit, I just never really think about it. You know, having.
Well, I've been using it since I was 50 to get the ARP discount, and I appreciated the ARP discount.
Yeah. Well, see, I look 40, so it'd be for me. It'd be a hard press. Okay. Hey, what else is going on in the world of automobiles?
Okay, Bobby. As I discussed with you in our emails this week, I would like to do a tribute now to Mario Andretti, as long as we still have to go on that from you.
That's fine. I think that's good. A short reach out, and I think Andretti's probably, well, Richard Petty and his field, and Mario Andretti and his field. You know, you're talking some heavy hitters, so I'll turn the mic to you. And what are you going to say about Mario?
Well, Mario, for one thing, when he was waiting to come to America, his family had to live in a room with other families, and the only privacy was to pull a blanket around you. They didn't have walls in between all the people in that room. So I'm sure it started off as a blessing to get on the plane, or however they came to America, and have privacy in a regular home. And he carried on the tradition already through his son, and his grandson are already been in the racing wheels. If it's on the road, Bobby has won in all class. He's won in all classes of cars, Andretti. So to me, that is impressive. He won the Indianapolis 500 and the Dayton 500 and the Formula One World Championship and the Pikes Peak Hill Climb. He won the IndyCar National Championship 4 times as a 3-time winner in Seaburg. And he won races in sports cars, sprint cars, and stock cars on ovals, road tracks. If it's on the road, he was on the meant to get a win, and he's done that all his life. And won in virtually every level of motorsports since he arrived in America from his native Italy at the age of 15. He's a racing icon considered by many to be the greatest race car in the history of the sport. Assessing his legacy is easy. He drives the careers of 3 men. He drove with a passion and joy that never has been equaled, and he won. Mario Andretti took the checkered flag 3 times during his career, a career that stretched 5 decades, and he was competitive on all those years. He has been named Driver of the Year for 3 different decades, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Driver of the quarter century in the 90s, and the Associated Press named him Driver of the Century in January 2000. The admiration for Andretti has never been his achievements in just his racetrack. He's a very elite superstar category of his game, and he's very dedicated to his family. If you look at his whole life, he has seen the world that most people will never see. And the journey he's had has made him a very rich man. In the 40s, Mario was born in Montana, Italy, now Croyota, about 35 miles from the northeastern city of Trieste. World War II broke out at the time when he was born at the beginning of 1940. And when the war ended, the peninsula of Israel was where Montevideo was located and became part of Yugoslavia. So the Andrettis were inside a communist country. The family stuck it out for 3 years, hoping the only world they'd ever know would right itself. And in 1948, it did when they decided to leave. The first step was a central dispensation camp in Andain. About a week later, they were transferred to Lucca, and for 7 years, from 1948 to 1955, the Andretti's family lived in a refugee camp in Lucca. And to come into the freedom of America and the joys and pass on the ability to be a driver for his son and his grandson, I think it's fantastic.
I agree. What a great story. And I have actually been to Lucca, which was the capital or the Mecca of Italy, and a walled city it is, and it's just amazing. And you speak of Mario. Last year, when I went to the Indy 500, well, actually, I went to the track, but I did not attend the race. I was there 2 weeks earlier and was a guest in Mario Andretti. I don't know if I've shared this with anyone, but I was a guest there in Mario Andretti's camp. and walked down to with a gentleman there, Ken Parent, was from the Indiana Corn Council. Walked down to the pit wall, and where they were practicing cars, and there was one of Andretti's 4 cars. And this gentleman, Rossi, was in the car, and I took a video, and I have those pictures. Maybe we'll post those on Pinterest as well. This past year, because it was the 100th anniversary, they had on each tire the winner of each previous Indy 500 in little white letters all the way around the perimeter of the race tire. And so here I am on the pit wall with this gentleman in the car, and Alexander Rossi, Alex Rossi. And now this was, I think, the 19th, and the race was the 29th of the following Sunday week. The bottom line, I'll be darned, you know who won the Indy 500 last year? Alexander Rossi. And he was a rookie. He was for Michael Andretti. And he won because he stayed out on the track. And I did the math. They completed something like, I forget, 60 or 70, 36 laps. Yeah, 36 laps on 17.5 gallons, and it was 2.2 miles per gallon. Jim, thank you so much for your report today. We are out of time for this hour. As always, great to hear from you, and thanks for the tribute to Mario Andretti.
Okay, we'll talk again. Have a good week, Bobby.
Thank you, sir. Folks, this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, what a great segment, has been brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When your battery loses its power, you lose the ability to get out, get around, and get things done. So when it's time for a replacement, just trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. They'll help you choose the Super Start battery that's an exact fit for your vehicle, whether it's a reliable economy, a hard-working premium, or a powerful extreme at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Thanks for tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Time to go to our Car Clinic inbox. Jim in Indianapolis writes, Bobby, I have a 2010 Ford Explorer, and it's taking more than 10 minutes for the engine to warm up, whereas it used to take 6. I hear you guys talking about Stant thermostats. What makes them so special? Thanks, Jim. You probably heard me talking about the Superstat in particular. Superstat is a premium-grade thermostat that performs better and lasts longer. The Superstat features heavy-duty springs that help return it to a closed position to prevent cold running. A larger heat motor helps control engine temperature, while a heavier gauge steel housing gives it a high-end feel. Just hold one yourself and you'll feel the difference. The Superstat is American-made and comes with a limited lifetime warranty. You definitely don't want to compromise when replacing your Explorer's engine thermostat. The Superstat helps maintain proper air-to-fuel ratio, which maximizes fuel economy, keeps tailpipe emissions in check, and provides optimal performance. Learn more about the Superstat at your local auto parts store or at stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Artie White. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us this hour. We are in the second hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Every Saturday from 10 till noon, we come to you and just consider me your personal car consultant. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Stant Corporation. Hey, there's some news going on about a new executive at Stant. I'll share that a little bit later with you. His name is Gary Mossy, and he is the CEO, and that was recently, so I presume that it's Massey probably, but the Stant Corporation is the choice of the OE manufacturers and the leader in aftermarket caps and thermostats. You can find Stant products for your vehicle where? Yes, Stant.com or Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Also, this segment coming up of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Power Frame Grid Technology. Batteries may all look the same from the outside, but it's what's inside that really matters. Power Frame Grid Technology is tested to be more durable and provides superior cranking power, and you can learn more at Power Frame. To that end, my car has a battery failure. It is a 2013 automobile, and the start-stop battery has failed. When I come back, we'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic, and I'm going to share a story with you, which I think is a little premature, but it's coming back. When it comes to your car battery, you expect it to work. Turn the key and go. Thanks to Power Frame Grid Technology, you can trust your battery to be there start after start. Batteries with Power Frame Grid Technology are tested to provide superior cranking power with up to 70% better electrical flow than other grid designs. Look for Power Frame on the outside for true strength on the inside. Visit Advance Auto Parts or CarQuest for a battery with Power Frame Grid Technology, or to learn more, go to powerframe.com. That's powerframe.com. Stant is the expert when it comes to radiator caps, thermostats, and fuel caps, supplying manufacturers as far back as Henry Ford's Model A. For OE performance, you can trust that Stant fuel caps will deliver. A leaking fuel cap is more than just the pain of a check engine light. Evaporating fuel costs money. Stant fuel caps are built so well they can even seal with part of the cap broken away, helping to keep you safe. Stant has locking caps, too. Drive to Stant.com or your local retailer today. That's Stant.com. And now to the Car Clinic inbox. Mike writes, Bobby, driving in Seattle's rainy weather, I've lost traction in my car enough times to scare me. What tires should I consider when it's time to replace mine? Mike, if you're losing traction, now may be the time to replace your tires. A terrific choice is General Tire's Ultimax RT43 with its peak anti-slip design technology, which increases the number of biting edges for traction on slippery roads. And you won't have to guess or measure tread depth when it's time to replace these tires. The Ultimax RT43 features an integrated replacement tire monitor, which clearly reads, replace when a tire change is needed. And one more cool feature of the Ultimax RT43, early warning visual alignment indicator, which extends tire life by visually identifying vehicle misalignment. For more information about the Ultimax RT43, go to GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I will dedicate this hour to answering your questions. Miss Jan will take your calls when you get ready, if you have a question or if you have a comment. I mentioned earlier in today's show about Steven Tyler. I mentioned, well, actually, we talked about auctions, Barrett Jackson, and there are several others as well. Mecum. I think that's the two most well known, at least. They're really televised. Mecum is 7 hours. And I watched some of the Mecum results and was kind of surprised that, and I mentioned earlier, so I'll bring this up again, and while I wait on your calls at 888-227-2546. That's 888 Car Clinic. That we saw cars. I saw cars go through, classic cars, muscle cars, retro rods. Which a retro mod is a retro. It's an old classic car like a '55 Chevrolet, but it's got all new running gear and it's all new. And so basically it's all but a brand new car that looks like a 55-mile automobile. They're very expensive. And that was my point. How can they possibly sell these cars for $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 because you cannot possibly build one of those cars? And then I talked about, which was a tribute really sort of to Barrett Jackson. And I don't have a favorite, Mecum, Barrett Jackson, either way, although Mecum does promote where you have a holdback on the price, so you don't release the car, and so whatever is bid, if that doesn't meet your requirements, you just don't take it. And so Mecum is a little more into giving the seller the opportunity to get more money or not sell the automobile. Otherwise, you're just there and you're hoping things go well. Anyway, I mentioned that Steven Tyler was there and he sold. Now, understand, he didn't get this money. This money was given to charity, and this is why I'm bringing this up, because I have so much respect for individuals that have made a lot of money and are contributing to charities. We have that right in our own hometown, and I'm sure that you in your hometown have it as well. There's a gentleman in Pensacola, Florida, which is the center of the automotive universe, whose name is Fred Levin, who has contributed. He's a philanthropist, and he's a world-class, world-renowned attorney for sure. But he has contributed thousands and millions of dollars, including to University of Florida, and that's the Florida Levin Law. They named the building after him. I think that's phenomenal. A dear friend of mine, Ken Ford, Dr. Ken Ford, founded the IHMC, Institute for Human Machine Cognition. And so they just completed an $8 million facility for robotics and robots. They actually are making the legs and that for robots, and it's very, among other things that they're doing there. And Fred Levin actually contributed to that building $1 million. To this end, Steven Tyler at the Barrett Jackson auction. They auctioned a Hennessy Venom GT Spider, and the Spider sold for $800,000. Why am I talking about this? Because the money went to Janie's Fund, which is a philanthropic. Thank you. Don't laugh at me. Philanthropic initiative that was created by Steven Tyler in partnership with one of America's most effective nonprofits, Youth Villages, to bring hope and healing for many of our country's most vulnerable girls who have suffered the trauma of abuse and neglect. So, hats off to Steven Tyler. And when you're flipping through the channels and you see an auction and you see one of these very expensive cars that goes through, and you see someone that comes in that gets up on the stage with the auctioneer and talks about the car, just know that that money is going for a great cause. To that end, we can bring it down to the local position, i.e. in our town. There are many car shows here, and the money that's raised for those car shows goes to charity. The Central Nebraska Car Club is another, in Kearney, Nebraska, is also another car club. In Daytona, they have the bike show. They have the turkey run, which is a charity event. So when you think about that, you can take your kids out and let them see these great cars, and that helps to, keep the sport going, or at least the classic car industry going. But it also brings money for charity and for causes that are greater than you and I applaud folks. We had a call from Washington about a piston slap, and then this was last hour, and we had another gentleman from Washington. Both of these gentlemen were from Washington, but both callers were from Washington, and they actually knew. They talked about piston slap and noise, and if knurling would help, and the answer is no. The price of knurling far outweighs the benefits of knurling a piston if you have an engine that runs well but you don't want the noise. So now we have a gentleman from Texas. And we have a great station in Tyler, Texas. So Jim from Texas, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So you have a comment on the piston slap. Now, let me set the stage here, and welcome, Jim. Glad to have you join us today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Now, the gentleman. Let me set the stage. The gentleman from Washington was talking about an MOS2, which I'd never heard of, that he used. And he used a small portion of it in his older car that he had built for sort of racing, so it had extra piston clearance, and I presume this is a higher viscosity. I wasn't familiar with it, but I'm glad that you called and you have a comment on the MOS2 piston slap. So welcome again, and with that, I'll turn the mic to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I have a 95 Power Stroke, and I've got on my odometer 4s all the way across. And listening to those men talking about this additive that might, not that how a Power Stroke, the sound of it anyway.
Well, yeah.
But it's going along right good. But I wondered if there is something besides using regular oil every 5,000 miles, what would even get it to where it even run a little bit better? I don't know, just or longer.
Well, what the industry's gone to is synthetic oil now. I say now, in the last 5-10 years in Europe, 30 years, 20 years ago, more than 50% of all consumers, car owners, use synthetic oil. So oil is really not designed to eliminate noise in engines. And if you have a mechanical noise, changing the oil from, say you've got 7,000 miles on oil and you put a new batch of oil in, other than being cleaner and having fresh additives, that will not reduce the noise. Specifically in a diesel, you cannot. Now, having said that, there's always exceptions. So if I've got an old engine that is worn, but not worn out, but it has a piston slap, and it has, although heavy oil won't necessarily stop that, but the MOS2 that they were talking about, whatever that stuff is, helped one gentleman. But I will say this, thicker oil will not flow through the engine when you first fire the engine, because it's like molasses and it has to warm, and it's called a pumpability. So the use of oil additives that are specifically created to thicken oil, and you see, and I'm running out of time here, so I'm not going to let that bother me. We can always come back from the break. But Jim, if you have extra clearance, like a rod clearance, and you put thicker oil, that will quieten the temporarily quieten the noise down. And when I come back, I'll share you the pros and cons of thick oil. Folks, we recently worked on an 03 Buick Park Avenue with a 3.8 engine. This vehicle had been a workhorse with about 190,000 miles and counting. That said, fuel economy had slipped from 24 mpg highway all the way to 19. On cold startup, the check engine light started flashing in addition to rough idling. Engine fuel trims pointed toward carbon issues. A quick scan revealed random misfire code P0300. The codes were cleared, and after a visual inspection of the ignition system and a fuel filter change, we added a can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool to a fresh tank of fuel. After a 400-mile round trip and a second can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool, fuel economy went right back to 24 mpg and idle quality was restored. Many times, complex running issues are traced to carbon issues on today's vehicles. Fuel system maintenance today starts with simple tank additives as the first step in cleaning carbon from your engine. The next time your vehicle is sluggish or experiencing poor fuel economy, try Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save $8 instantly when you replace your worn wiper blades with a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get premium blades that ensure clear vision in any weather and save $8 instantly on a pair of Bosch Icon wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. When we left for the break, I mentioned oil. And when I say fat oil or skinny oil, I'm specifically talking about the viscosity of oil. A 2050 oil, which is what my classic Porsche calls for, which has a lot of clearances, and the engine is sloppy with regard to clearances, which means that it has a lot of piston clearance and it has more camshaft clearance and rod clearance and those sorts of things than a current day engine. Now, having said that, I would never use 2050 oil in my 2013 Jag, which has a normally aspirated 5-liter V8 engine with 11.5 to 1 compression ratio. And I just came back from a trip this past week from Pensacola to Jackson, Mississippi, to Birmingham, Alabama, to Atlanta, Georgia, and back to Pensacola, Florida. It was a grueling trip with a lot of rain and a lot of dangerous thunderstorms and lots of traffic and a very grueling week. And I mentioned this at the front of the show because my wife was following me in another car as we were taking a car from Jackson to Atlanta for a friend because that friend was in the hospital in Jackson and was transported to Atlanta to the Shepherd's Clinic, which is a spinal clinic. And that's a dear friend of mine for years who fell and a fluke fall and broke his neck and is paralyzed from his neck down, can move his right shoulder, right arm a bit, maybe the left a bit, and is really, hopefully today, doing better. It's a long road ahead. The bottom line, I said all that to say that the oil in my engine was new, and I use a 5W20, 5W30, which is what my car calls for. I would not use a heavier oil. My engine is noisy. It's noisy because it has direct injection, and direct injectors make noise. And also it's noisy because it has a double row bicycle chain cam phasers and overhead cam, and so all of those twin cams, well, there's 4 cams up there, and all those followers and that direct injection all makes more noise, and that's why you'll see a lot of engines that have all those covers. They're for beauty, yeah, but really they're to shield some of that noise from you, the driver. Having said all that, when you use a heavier viscosity oil, it will not flow properly and quicker, or as fast, through the clearances of the engine when cold. So when you first fire an engine, there's no oil flow because the engine starts to run before the heart of the engine pumps oil. Our hearts pump oil whether we're asleep or awake, or else we die. An engine, when you shut it off, everything stops. When you crank it up, it takes time for the oil to be drawn from the pan and pushed up through the extremities and to get to the top of the engine. The thicker the oil, the slower the travel of oil. In fact, Valvoline did a study years ago of a Chevrolet, stock Chevrolet. This was in the mid-70s. At freezing temperature, it took 3 full minutes for 30-weight oil to reach the rocker arms and start to flow out the rocker arms. 3 minutes. And this was a study from Valvoline. So the moral of the story is use the viscosity that the car calls for from the factory. Always, if you're not sure whether you should change viscosities from winter to summer, just know don't. Use the lightest viscosity because 0, 30, 530, 1030, it's all 30-weight oil at operating temperature because oils that are multi-weight use VI improvers, viscosity index improvers. Viscosity index improvers are little molecules that curl up, like you take your fists and make a curl, and then when it gets hot, it expands. So the oil truly, the viscosity does change as the engine oil gets hotter, but when it's cold, it's thinner, so it can the molecules can flow more quickly. And finally, to close out on that particular story, the question was about piston slap and knurling and using some chemical that they talked about, or oil additive, that helped a caller from Washington, which was MOS2, whatever that is. I'm not familiar with that product. And he swore that it helped. Having said all of that, thicker oil is not what you use to quieten an engine. And specifically, the caller from Texas that had a power stroke, there's no oil you can put in a power stroke that's going to stop a diesel engine from making its diesel noise, because that is the multiple explosions, the fuel burning as the engine piston goes down, and it is quite normal. Having said that, we're going to move on. I do have a story about the battery failure in my car, the start-stop battery failure, and our online at Watch Bobby Live folks have requested that I share that story. I will. I haven't solved that problem yet, but I've learned a lot in the last 10 days about the start-stop system. But first, let's go to Jesse has a question about autonomous braking with an RX Lexus. Jesse, welcome to Birmingham. Welcome to, well, you're from Alabama, so I thought about Birmingham, which is where I was on Tuesday evening. So welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thanks. Now, I'm still in Mobile.
Oh, good. Nice to talk with you. What can I do for you?
This is the white Denali owner.
Yes, sir.
The oil issue.
Yes, sir.
I found last week's show where you were talking about autonomous braking and the 2017 Lexus RX.
Yes, sir.
And a couple of other models have that as part of their rear cross traffic alert.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do you get the beeping and the flashing in the outside mirror to let you know there's somebody back there, it will do a full bore stop on the newer models because it's got electronic brakes.
Right.
So they fixed that issue by going all electronic. So while the scanners have been there for several years, now they just added what the scanners can do with the braking. And they also have a pedestrian alert for the front of the car. And if you've seen the auto show for the new LS, not only will it do the braking for the front, it will actually do the steering to avoid nailing a pedestrian who steps out in the crosswalk.
I think that's fantastic. And Jesse, a question. My car has electronic park brake.
Right.
So and the Lexus has a feature where you can push the hold button. So does Kia. But my car does not have that function where it's automatic. So every time, if I wish to use the park brake at a traffic light when it's idling in gear, which I do, and I do it for safety reasons. I'll share that with you. I'm sort of anal about this, but my concern is that somebody's going to come up to the back of me and run into the back of my car, because when you're at a traffic light stopped, you're at the mercy. And in fact, Brennan Beasley, whom you actually have met because you came over from, and folks, this gentleman drives, how many miles on your Denali now?
Buck 28.
Okay, 128,000, and we corrected an oil pressure issue for him, which I was really proud of, and since then, Jesse probably repaired 30 of those and saved people $2,000, $5,000. Anyway, but long story short, my car, you have to engage the park brake every time. Whereas if you have the hold button, which the Lexus you talk about does, and this is not the autonomous braking, this is just the standard stop at a red light, then you do not have to leave your foot on the brake, because the brakes will maintain the car and hold the car until you step on the accelerator. And then the minute you move the throttle, the computer sees that you've moved the throttle and it will release the brake. Now, to that end, you would not want to leave the car idling in gear with the parking brake on and step out of the car to like close the garage door, because if for some reason somebody else was in the car, or some kid or somebody just touched the brake, the gas pedal, just touched it, it would release the brake and the car would idle off or idle into the next car. So having said that, my question to you is, if I'm backing up, and I already know the answer, I think, but I want to hear you say it if you have read these articles. If you're backing up and you don't see someone coming with your foot on the gas pedal, which you would be because you, and I don't mean accelerating, but just enough to move the car back, the brakes still apply with your foot on the accelerator?
Yeah, the brake should engage along with the chirping and the flashing of the light.
Okay.
And on the model, there's generally a giant brake sign that pops up on the dash to let you know.
Well, I think that is a phenomenal, and you know, you got to think about this because in all cars that have this hold pattern, which the Kias have, I know, because I really like that feature. I drove a 2015 that they sent to me for a week, the K900. I was enamored with it. I really liked it. I'm glad they've reduced the price of that vehicle because it wasn't selling, but it certainly was is a great luxury car, by the way. Now, having said that, the reason that I use my parking brake at a traffic light is so that my brake lights, once I've stopped and there's a car behind me, my brake lights are not illuminated. When I engage my park brake and I let off my brake then, and I don't touch my accelerator, but I'm in gear, waiting for the light to change, my brake lights are out. What this means is that when I decide to go, whether there's a car in front of me or the light changes from red to green, the driver behind me doesn't see my lights go out, because anytime that you're behind someone at a traffic light and you see them let off their brakes, the first thing you do is accelerate. And sometimes the car in front of them doesn't move rapidly, so the car will move 5 feet and then the car in front of you will again hit the brakes. You understand where I'm going here?
That happens routinely around here and in the tunnel.
Yes. To that end, I am fearful that a car will bump into the back of me. So I take away my brake lights so that the driver behind me has no idea when I'm going to step on the accelerator. And what that gives me is the option to ease off at my own pace. And speaking of easing off, got a hard break, Jesse. Stick around, folks. Don't touch the dial. There's more coming up. This Tire Maintenance Minute is brought to you by General Tire and the Ultimax RT43. Featuring replacement tire technology, the Ultimax RT43 will actually let you know if it's worn or needs to be replaced. Today's vehicles run on the sum of their parts to make themselves whole. Your tires deliver key information for things like traction control, analog brakes, and crash avoidance systems. Tires are a critical component for all-wheel drive vehicles, making sure the all-wheel drive system works properly to keep you safe. Changing just 2 tires instead of 4 can compromise a number of things, including all-wheel drive operation, and in some vehicles even cause damage and wear to the all-wheel drive components. If you do replace just 2, make sure to put them on the rear of the vehicle. Also, always check tread depth and condition, and make sure you rotate your tires at required intervals. General Tire's Ultimax RT43 actually extends the life of the tire by visually identifying vehicle misalignment. Talk about a smarter tire. Visit GeneralTire.com for more details.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive. that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. There are a lot of tips that I want to share with you. And so in this final segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic for today's broadcast, now's the time to call in if you have a question, because I'm going to share with you how you can get your car ready for spring. I have 6 simple questions on how to select the right auto repair shop that I want to share with you. I want to also share with you, and will share with you, that we talked about a 3M spray gun. It's the AccuSpray, and this AccuSpray spray gun is a kit that we're going to be giving away. We actually reached out to 3M, and not only did they give us this kit, but this week they sent to me, and just yesterday I tried a clear coat UV blocker on the smart car that we have, and I have pictures of that. I haven't even downloaded them or anything. I just finished it yesterday, and so I want to share all of that with you. But first, we're with Jesse. Let me give you the number and for quick calls, and let's move on. 888-227-2546. Jesse, I have a question for you.
Okay.
As you said, and you talked about the autonomous braking, when the car backs up and you're pulling out of a blind, and it's always blind until you get the back of the car far enough out that you can see over the cars next to you if you're parked in between 2 cars, especially, and I was at several hospitals. I was at 1, 2, 3, 4 hospitals this past week, and so I had to park in between other people and or find places to park my car that were safe to the doors, because I don't want anybody hitting my doors. So the bottom line, this autonomous braking, even if you're stepping on an accelerator, will stop the car if a car is coming by, and also if a pedestrian's in front of you, will steer the car and nail the brakes to keep from hitting a pedestrian, or at least attempt to keep from hitting. That's correct, right?
Yeah, the new LF will do the steering during that maneuver for the pedestrian.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's just a regular braking on the pedestrian. Now, the other scenario is in this country, that's fine and dandy. In other countries, you may not want your car to stop if someone jumps in front of it. So you have the option to override that system.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I do. So you can default that. Now, the challenge with overriding the system is that every time you start the car, you cut it off and you go somewhere, it reboots and defaults to the original factory setting. And so now I want to shift gears to the start-stop feature on my car. We talked about the brake feature, which I have to manually engage. And that gives me the safety of accelerating at my own pace and knowing that the driver behind me doesn't know when I'm going to accelerate, because the driver doesn't see the brake lights go away, because I never had the brake lights on after I've stopped. So you see my philosophy there?
Like driving a stick.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Now, well, but still you got to hold the car. So, but it is similar to driving a stick. Now, to that end, start-stop. My car has start-stop. I do not like the start-stop. In fact, a lot of BMW owners, if that's your car that you like, were so displeased that the BMW came out with a software upgrade so that whatever mode you left the car in last, meaning that if you turned off the start-stop system, it would stay that way. My car always defaults to start-stop. So every time I got in the car, and it was a particular nuisance to me, because I have an issue with my right shoulder due to rotator injury. So I can't reach over to the button that's to the right of the console with my right arm. I can't even reach over to the radio with my right arm. To that end, I have to use my left arm, cross over my body in the steering wheel, and push the off button for the start-stop. And I've done that for 4 years. When I forget, I pull to the stoplight and the battery goes, the car shuts down, and I don't like that. So having said all that, the start-stop quit working. I said, there is a technological computer god after all, that my car has learned on its own that it doesn't like this. And well, of course I knew better. And sure enough, the start-stop battery went bad. Now understand, November was 4 years that my car, 3 years, because my car's a 13. Why would a start-stop battery go bad in 3 years is my question. Now, I'm in the business, so I'm just asking you this. And do you think that the lack of use of my start-stop battery, because that battery is a very small, about the size of a lawn tractor battery, and it is a high cranking amp, and it has nothing to do with the operation of the car other than the start-stop feature. So do you think that I just happened to get a bad battery? And here I am, I'm the car guy, but I'm asking you, you're an intelligent person. Do you think a lack of use, or do you think it just happened that the battery went bad?
So it's not hooked to the charging system?
No, yeah, it gets charged because it does get input from the car once the car is running. Okay. But if you turn the car off, you can disconnect the main battery, which is a huge battery, and you can take the positive and the negative cables and put those two together to deplete all of the leftover voltage if you wanted to reprogram the car, or you had an issue with a DVD stuck in the changer and you wanted to cancel out all. Now you'd lose all the memory. You'd have to reset the mirrors and the stations and the presets and all that. But you do not have to disconnect the start-stop battery. But once you've disconnected the regular battery, so it's still hooked up. I know that for a fact. So that's two different circuits, but once you fire the car, the alternator is charging both the big battery and the smaller start-stop battery, but once you turn the car off, they are separated by a relay.
I'm going to venture out and say the heat down here may have something to do with that.
It's in the trunk. My car stays in the shop. I don't even park it outside because I don't want the leathers to go bad, because that's part of the bad part of a leather. My car's never even my car's never been through a car wash. So, and the trunk is cool, and they're inside the trunk. There are 5 computers, a small spare tire, a big battery, and the smaller battery, and the air pump for the air ride for the rear of the car.
In the back.
So heat's not a problem.
And that seems to point to either the computers are also hacking into that system, or it's just the battery has seen its best time. But at least it's still under warranty.
That's where the rub comes in. It's $400. It's not under warranty, and the dealer quoted me $400 for the battery plus $140 to reprogram the car. I called the dealer. They sent over a driver for me and picked up my car because I thought it was under warranty. But when I got the estimate and looked at the $400 cost of the battery and the $140 to reprogram the car to introduce the new start-stop battery to the car. And number one, I had to have the car back because I had to drive to Jackson, Mississippi, Sunday, and the dealer, quite candidly, was great enough to deliver my car back to me Saturday afternoon when I reached out to them. So having said that, here's what I'm going to do. And I've already investigated. The wholesale price of that battery to me is in the low 300s. So there's not a lot of profit in batteries. So the discount that I'm getting from the dealer. Now, I was a customer as a dealer, but now I also buy from that same dealer for my customers' cars when it's a Jag only. So what I have done is this week, I and my general manager, Brennan Beasley, looked out to the Power Frame grid, because I talk about that and we sell that. It's called the Tough One Platinum AGM, and that's the battery that is identical to the Jag battery, except it doesn't have the Jag logo, and my cost is about $200 versus $400. Problem is, it's not serviced in the U.S. It's a UK item, and they don't ship batteries. Now, we're going to try to work around that, and we're going to go to O'Reilly Auto Parts and see if we can get them to order the battery. But here's the I'll mention this to you because here's what I did to make sure that the battery was bad, because I said, well, maybe it's just a relay. And see, in addition to this, Jesse and folks, there's a technical service bulletin that says that there could be a software glitch for the start-stop system of my particular car going forward from 13 all the way up to 16. So I thought that it would be a simple reprogram, because we fix a lot of cars by reprogramming. And here's the bottom line. Yesterday, when I was back in from my arduous trips that I made this week, I didn't need the start-stop battery, and it hasn't worked for a month or so. And it does show a fault code. I hooked up a battery, my electronic battery keeper alive. I started to say tender, but it's not a tender. It's a charger that uses a computer to determine the state of the battery, and it charges when it pings the battery, like you ping an IP address. And if the battery needs a little assistance, it gives it. Otherwise, it does no charging, but it does decalcify the plates because it alternates current. Now, having said that, this little, and it's made by Pulse Tech Extreme. You've heard me talk about it maybe. That unit doesn't work on a dead battery, and it will not bring a dead battery back to life. However, if you take a jumper and you jump a dead battery and give it temporary life and then hook up my Pulse Tech unit, then you can take the jumper off, and the Pulse Tech will take that, because it now sees there's current flow through the battery. It will then, over a period of 2, 3, 4 days, bring that battery back to life if the battery's good. In this case, nothing we did for my battery would connect the dots. It's as though the negative and the positive of that battery were disconnected internally, which tells me it's a defective battery. So I'm going to buy a Power Frame Grid Technology Tough One Platinum AGM for my start-stop battery, because if the original battery lasted 3 years or three and a half, that's not good enough for me.
Right. Now, isn't your warranty $450 bumper to bumper?
Yep.
And the battery is not covered on bumper to bumper.
Well, when you get a quote of $400 for the battery and $140 to reprogram the new battery, the answer is no. That was the cost, and I've got it in writing.
That's interesting. And
yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
I would call a certain owner of the dealership.
I don't want to do that. I'll find out. No, I'm in the business. I don't want to go around the service department. You know, that's if it were under warranty, they would cover it.
You would think that.
Yeah, you would think so. Hey, got to go.
Right.
Always great to hear from you, and do well, stay well.
All right, have a good weekend.
Thank you. So, folks, it is interesting. That's my story on the battery. And I want to remind you, speaking of, I talked about 3M. We reached out to 3M, and they are going to send to me to give away, and I apologize for not mentioning this early, the 3M AccuSpray 1 spray gun and 4 atomizing heads kit. And this is a $200+ value, and manufacturer suggested list price. So if you're a shop owner, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, or whatever. This is the simplest, neatest. I mean, check it out online. It's an AccuSpray by 3M, and it combines the simplicity and the easy maintenance of the spray guns with the solvent-reducing, material-saving, rapid cleanup convenience of the standard 3M PPS paint, which is paint preparation system. Let me share this with you. Air sprays. I made a note, and it's really interesting. HVLP stands for high volume, low pressure, versus a conventional high pressure spray gun that blasts paint under high pressure. This is the neatest system, and I'm going to be giving somebody, one of you who are tuned in, one of these guns away over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. But in the meantime, it's called a 3M AccuSpray kit. And I think the kit is numbered, if you want to write this down, 16, like Sweet 16, 580. 16580. And it's a 3M AccuSpray. So check it out. That's really interesting. Let's see what else that I was going to get to that I don't have time to do. So what that means is you'll have to tune in next week, because I have 6 simple questions, and I'm going to open the program next week with how to select the right auto repair shop. And this is information from the nonprofit Car Care Council. And they recommend asking 6 simple questions to help identify the right auto repair shop to properly care for one of your most valuable assets. That would be your car. Now, this information comes from the Car Care Council. And I can tell you, and I have this list of 6, but I can tell you what I say that is foremost. And this doesn't happen overnight. One word: trust. You have to trust your automotive service shop. And I trust my team, and you can as well. And we're right here on Davis Highway. Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair. Hey, folks, see you next week on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Time to go to our Car Clinic inbox. Jim in Indianapolis writes, Bobby, I have a 2010 Ford Explorer, and it's taking more than 10 minutes for the engine to warm up, whereas it used to take 6. I hear you guys talking about Stant thermostats. What makes them so special? Thanks, Jim. You probably heard me talking about the Superstat in particular. Superstat is a premium-grade thermostat that performs better and lasts longer. The Superstat features heavy-duty springs that help return it to a closed position to prevent cold running. A larger heat motor helps control engine temperature, while a heavier gauge steel housing gives it a high-end feel. Just hold one yourself and you'll feel the difference. The Superstat is American-made and comes with a limited lifetime warranty. You definitely don't want to compromise when replacing your Explorer's engine thermostat. The Superstat helps maintain proper air-to-fuel ratio, which maximizes fuel economy, keeps tailpipe emissions in check, and provides optimal performance. Learn more about the Superstat at your local auto parts store or at stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul.